So, good evening, everyone. And so today, welcome to CCS Alum Talks 2.0. Our first panelist for Alum Talks 2.0 is Mr. Abhinav Garg, who is a cloud engineer at JP Morgan Chase and the founder of Protonade. From recently bagging an offer at Amazon UK to having an MBA admit from the number one business school in Canada, Shell's School of Business, York University, he keeps on inspiring us. Avinav Bhaiya, a CCS alumni, is a product enthusiast who has worked with various MNCs and has an excellent skill of problem solving. Having a hands-on experience of starting multiple initiatives, we believe he is the right one to guide you through your journey for MBA slash MLM and business programs. So,
So allow me to introduce our second panelist, Mr. Akshat Arora. So Akshat is a deep learning solution architect at NVIDIA, and he graduated from Thapar in 2017, and he did his MS from the University of Colorado. Thereafter, he paved his way to a successful career by joining NVIDIA as a deep learning solution architect, where he worked on deploying deep learning models in production. And he has also been a research intern at IIT Madras. So guys, please, if you could tell us how your journey has been after Thapar.
Sure. So, hi guys, Abhinav this side. Thank you so much, both of you, for introducing us. Thank you for the warm welcome. And yeah, so I am a 2017 graduate. I did my bachelor's in computer engineering from Thapar itself, and from 2013 to 17, I apart from like my regular studies, I was involved in multiple activities throughout. So I was leading the OVAS student chapter of Thapar, right? And there I was basically a general secretary. And apart from that, I was also in CCS as joint secretary. And apart from that, I also started a small venture within Thapar itself. It was basically, you can say, an OLX kind of marketplace, but just for students. So something like that. And yeah, post that, in corporate, I joined General Electric as a software developer. And then after working for 1 year in the front end domain, I switched to backend development and I joined JP Morgan. There I am working currently for almost 2.5 years now. As like Gaurang mentioned, right, that I recently got offer from Amazon UK, but I like heavy-heartedly had to say no to them because I had some other plans. So I'll be joining Schulich School of Business in Canada for pursuing my MBA. So I've developed interest towards the business side of it, starting my undergrad itself. So I was building on my profile. I was building on the last 4 years by doing extra curriculars and getting involved in certain aspects, right? So that's one thing. And now, yeah, let's see how it goes. I have to join there in September. Thank you. Akshat, maybe you can take over.
Hi everyone, this is Akshat. So I am currently a solutions architect, and Ishita kindly introduced me, the solutions architect in NVIDIA. But the story of reaching here started actually way before I even joined Thapar, and it starts like this. So I, when I was in my +1 or +2, my sister had a baby, and we were all in the same home. So I got to see him grow from like age 0 all the way to age 2. When I moved to Thapar, I had to obviously leave him. But at that point of time, I got really interested into, hey, how do babies learn, right? Like, what is that one thing? How do they imitate, and how do they learn from just looking at human beings and looking at your mother and your father and even myself, right? How do they learn? And that got me into psychology. So entering Thapar, my mindset was, hey, I want to learn how brains sort of work. And throughout my journey at Thapar, when I got into computer science, my first question to my first CS lecture was, hey, how do I talk to a silicon chip? And that's where C++ came in. But then eventually I also got into research. I got this opportunity at IIT Mandi to do research around cognitive science. And that was very particularly in alignment with what I really wanted to do in terms of studying how brains work. Now, beyond that, I got this opportunity to actually go and present a research paper in United States in Orlando for a conference. That was the one place where I felt the motivation that, hey, there are so many people around the world doing real research, producing research, and having an impact on the world, that I was like, yes, that's what I want to do. And I entered research, and that's when I decided that, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and do my master's. And it has to be right away. I'm not gonna wait, 1 or 2 years from now and try a job thing. I really didn't want to do that at that point of time. I had a very naive view of what a software engineering job looked like. So fast forward 2-3 years, I am here. I'm doing my master's degree. I'm, doing deep learning. I'm all the way into my PhD degree as well. I'm almost enrolling to my PhD degree. That's when I realized I have zero skill set of deploying things in production. I was in this internship where I had to like productize a deep learning network. And when we were doing that, I was like, yeah, I invented it. I invented a network. I did all the work that an academic is supposed to do. How hard can it be to, deploy it? And it took me 3 months and I was not able to deploy it. So that's when I sort of shifted my line to saying, hey, if I don't know how to deploy something that I am inventing, right? If I build something, I don't know how to get it in a user's hand, I'm not going to proceed and just do my research and just produce the research paper. So I shifted my ground towards, hey, let's try this industry. Let's see how to deploy neural networks in production and see how it goes. So that's when I got this opportunity at NVIDIA to do the deep learning solutions architect work, where I work with NVIDIA's partners and I help them deploy machine learning and deep learning algorithms in production at scale of about millions and millions of users today in social media companies and on GPUs. So, yep, that's my bit. Thank you for listening.
That was a nice journey through Harper and you're currently in US, right?
Yes. I am currently. I'm not here though. I'm not at the Golden Gate Park. That's still like 50 miles north from here. But yes, I'm in US. Yeah.
So, coming back to Abhinav, I would like to know what are the career options after graduation? Like when you graduated from Thapa, what were the first things that came to your mind? Like it was MBA, MS, or just going for a job. So, what were the options?
Right. So obviously, as a young student, when you are just graduating from college, you have multiple options, and you see your seniors are going for MBA from IIMs and all the Indian institutes, and then people are there like Akshat was there, who was going to pursue his masters from US, right? So there are all sort of people, and there were obviously we were sitting for placements at that time, right? So I definitely was not inclined toward going to like a master's as Akshat was. I was not interested in pursuing research. So my take was that I might want to go down the line, few years down the line. But as of now, I was not, right? So obviously the main three options that comes to my mind and obviously are in everybody's mind is either going for a job, right? Otherwise going for MS or MBA, right? These are main three options, or maybe I won't say MBA, rather any of the business program, master business programs, right? So if you allow me, I have prepared like a couple of points. Can I share my slide?
Go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what's visible to you now?
Yes.
We can see what are the different paths ahead
Right. All
slide.
right.
Yes.
Okay.
Go for it. Yeah.
So if you see, I'll start with the job options, right? So in job options, we have different kind of roles. Firstly, there are core roles, right? So let's say you are a computer engineer, you are a chemical engineer, you are a mechanical engineer. So you all have different kind of roles in your respective branches. So first thing is that. So you can definitely go for that, and we'll come to on-campus, off-campus, but let's say you go for that, right? Secondly, they're business-oriented roles. So there are some roles that Deloitte hire for, which are like business technology consultant. There are roles that companies like other consulting companies like McKinsey, Bain, or KPMG, the big four hire, right? So those are consulting roles. And similarly, there's you can say in the business oriented domain, there's another kind of roles, which is business development roles. So maybe companies like growing companies like Oyo are these days hiring rapidly in the business domain, business development analyst or something like that, right? So these are majorly 2-3 kind of different roles that people usually get into post their graduation, post their BTech, right? And now coming on to like a particular segment. So let's say you get into a business role, or let's say you get into a computer engineering role, and you first thing I would suggest everybody is that you should explore. So if you're not exploring, if you're not trying out things, you might feel that okay, this is not something for me, and you won't have any other option, right? So while I was pursuing my software engineering job, so I at the back of my mind, I already knew that, okay, I am somewhere inclined towards business, right? So I already had started some venture of my own during Thapar, and I again tried that thing during my, the regular job. Apart from my regular job, I was also trying to build something. And in fact, I guess some of the people might be watching, or maybe you guys already might be aware that I contacted CCS again to, to rope in some candidates from the first and second year, and so on. So that's something that you should try on apart from what you're currently doing, so that you are able to know, okay, what interests you and what doesn't, right? That's one thing. Then secondly, the making the switch. So over the past few weeks, so I posted about my Amazon journey on LinkedIn, that how I got into Amazon and about that. And after that, I had opened my calendar for one-on-one sessions for quite a few people, and I got almost 100 registrations within 12 hours. So most of the common question that I found was that how to, well, when to make a switch or how to make a switch, right? So I would suggest that when you are in early stage of your career, you can have an exponential growth, right? Even if you are just into first company and you don't like work, or you think that you deserve better and you can get into something better, you should definitely make a switch. There's no hardbound timeline that okay, I need to stay in company for 1 or 2 years at least, otherwise my resume would get impacted. There's nothing like that. Companies today are mad about hiring, right? They won't consider like, okay, you are just in a company for 2 months and then you switched. By they might ask, but you can give a genuine reason, right? That okay, I thought that I deserved better, I thought I could get better opportunity or get better kind of role, right? That's another thing. And uh, another thing I would suggest to, this is mainly for people who might want to pursue any sort of business programs few years down the line, right? So if you are into a complete tech company or complete core company where you don't have any exposure to business side of things, right? Try to switch into different roles, right? So like I am a computer engineer. If I have to do, like, I am interested in product management, right? So I wanted to explore product management domain. So I tried contacting various people. I tried for various roles in other companies where I can get into product management. So this is something that you should try. That let's say 2 years down the line, you are a software engineer or you are a mechanical engineer in a particular firm, and you see that okay, I'm good with my job, but I still want to figure out the business side of things. My current role doesn't give me an exposure to that, right? So like I went for APM role. I didn't join because obviously my admit came through, but I was going for APM sort of roles. So you can try for APM role, business development role. ZS hires a lot, in the consultancy role. Deloitte hires a lot in consultancy roles. So there are different kind of roles. Obviously, you need to explore according to your interest area and according to what your skill set currently is. You might have to upskill a little bit, right? So let's say you are a chemical engineer and let's say you want to get into a computer domain, right? So you need to upskill a little bit. Obviously you can take courses online, you can learn things online, and it's not like they don't hold value. When you are, if you get an interview call, right, after that your degree won't matter much if you have that exposure to those particular skills. So that's another thing that makes a difference. And finally, the last point I would like to highlight is basically attending conferences and networks. So once you are there in your job, right? So one thing is that you should attend more conferences and network. So while you're in conferences, there are different sorts of people coming from all variety of companies, right? From product companies, from services companies, right? At least in I can say speak from the software engineering perspective. When we have any conference, there are people from all over the world, right? So you should go there, you should network. There are job opportunities with those companies. You can get in touch with those people, and tomorrow you can ping them on LinkedIn or somewhere if you are in contact with them. So that's another thing. And networking is, I won't say that it is just for professionals. For school, for college students also, it is really really important. So I know people in second year only who already have offers right now in Thapar, right? When they graduate 2 years later. Why? Because of their network, because they publish their papers or they publish their skill in form of an article, and people approach them through LinkedIn and all sort of media, like Medium and all, right? So they have that. And why is that? Because of the network. So that's something, again, you should look forward to as a computer engineer or as any engineer, right? You can network and you can get the opportunity. Now, off campus and on campus roles both are available as of now, right? On campus is something that Thapar already facilitates for most of the people, right? And off campus is something that is really picking up from past 3-4 years. So I think people should make use of that opportunity, that if they are getting off campus roles, off campus opportunities, they should go for it first. Second, how should you find it? LinkedIn is the best method to find all these kind of roles. So people post on LinkedIn that, okay, our company is hiring. Let's say Dunzo in Bangalore is hiring for software engineer or business analyst or any sort of role, right? So they are regularly posting. People are posting on LinkedIn. Let's say I have opening in my team, right? So I'll be posting, okay, JP Morgan is hiring for so and so position, and you can reach out on so and so email ID. So make use of that, make use of LinkedIn. So that's I guess pretty much about job. So next thing maybe I can touch upon is the MBA, MIM, and the business program aspects, right? So people tend to go for second thing that people tend to go for is MBA, MIM, right? So what are the different kind of opportunities? When should you pursue, and all those questions, right? So firstly, broadly there are two kind of programs, right? One is MBA, right? Second is MIM, Masters in Management, and third is where I can say Masters in supply chain, Masters in basically management science and engineering, Masters in operation, Masters in marketing, Masters in finance. So all these comes under basically Masters, but as a business side of it, not MS, right? So that's the another thing. Now coming on to like, when should you pursue this, right? So what's the right time to pursue? So MIM is a program that people of work experience 0 to 2 pursue. If you are above 2 years of experience, it is not really worth it, because the average class experience or the people you'll meet there have experience on the lower side, right? So that's another aspect that you should consider if you're considering going for business side of programs. So MIM is for that. And again, the other business program, let's say I talked about Masters in Management Science, Engineering, Operations, and all the other business programs. So all these business programs again are kind of niche programs. They are not generic programs like MBA. If you are very clear about, okay, I want to move into finance and you want to pursue Masters in finance, right? Only then go ahead and do that. And I won't say that there's a timeline for that. Okay, you should do it in the early stage of your career, or you should do it later stage of your career. You can do it at any point of time. So that's another thing. Then coming on to the MBA. So MBA, and so let me first clear a major misconception. So you see that people go for MBA after clearing CAT, right? So that is not considered MBA at an international level. That is considered MIM. So whenever a fresher, so any program where a fresher or less than 1 or 2 years experience is given an admission, that program is never considered MBA. That is considered MIM, Masters in Management. So what is considered MBA if at the international level, right? So these IIMs, all of these IIMs have executive MBA programs, right? Which are 1-year MBA programs, which you pursue after, let's say, 5 years or 6 years. So minimum experience required, if I'm not wrong, is 5 years for IIM Ahmedabad, right? So if you're pursuing that program, then it's called MBA at an international level, right? So that's just a bifurcation of programs that how MBA and MIM are classified. But irrespective of the fact, if you are looking at it from perspective that okay, you'll be in India and you'll be pursuing your career ahead in India itself, CAT route obviously is the best, right? You are getting directly from your college, or maybe within 1 or 2 years of experience, you are getting into a good MBA program within India, or rather what we call MIM program in India, right? So if you're getting into that, it holds a lot of value in Indian market. So makes sense. But if you're considering that, okay, I will move ahead and, explore opportunities abroad, so this MBA tag will convert into MIM, because this is not what is considered as MBA at an international stage, right? So that's the different kind of programs. Now, and I told about, like, already covered when you should pursue. So I guess I didn't cover the MBA piece. So for MBA, you need minimum of 2 years of work experience for all the B schools all over the world, right? But the average class experience, if you explore, is different for different schools, and average you'll get is close to 4 to 5 years of experience. You won't get, okay, 2 is the average experience, right? So that you should keep in mind while you're planning to pursue any course. Then there are different aspects in the application. So what are the different parameters of your application here? Let's say you're pursuing any MBA, MIM, or any other program, so all of them look same in terms of applications, right? You have essays, you have to show your academic profile, you have to have a GRE or GMAT score, you need to have, let's say, in case of MBA, you need to have a work experience, right? And what else? You need to show your extracurriculars, right? So these are all different aspects that you need to have, right? And trust me when I say this, so GMAT GRE score is an important parameter, but it is not the only parameter. Schools will test you on different things. School will judge your application as a whole. So all the business program test you holistically, not on a particular part of your application. But score holds a value. If you are above, let's say in GMAT, you have a score of 700, right? You have cleared a certain cutoff. It doesn't matter if you are at that 710, right? That 10 increment of 10 won't make much difference in your profile. And similarly, academics and workex, so they also play an important role. So you usually see that, okay, brand name of your college matters or not. It does matter, but I won't say it matters like if you are from IIT, or you are from any other reputed college. I mean, so what happens is that, let's say, those business schools or those schools where you are trying to get admission to, right? They have many people from, let's say, XYZ college from Bangalore, right? So that college has a perception that, okay, this XYZ college from Bangalore has good students. So in their books, XYZ college holds more value than maybe triple IT, right? So that's the difference between the brand name when you talk about it. So you need to figure out that when you are applying, that let's say you're from Thapar. Everybody is from Thapar here. So where are most of the Thapar graduates? And if you see that a particular school has most like many Thapar graduates, you can assume that that particular school will give a certain edge to your application over a different school, a different applicant, right? So that's another thing. And extracurricular matters a lot in case of business programs. When I say a lot, it's a lot, really a lot. So if you are just into your academics, you score 10 on 10 GPA in all the 4 years of your undergrad, right? And you haven't done anything extra, or you are not showcasing anything extra in your profile, you are not going to get shortlisted even for the interview. So there are two phase process for the MBA applications, right? One is the shortlisting on the basis of your application and essays, and then secondly, it's the interview piece. So there are 2 rounds, and extracurricular holds a lot of value in your application. So,
So,
yeah, definitely.
yeah. So there's a question coming up a lot in the chat section. So our viewers would like to know, like, eh, what is better, like MBA or MTech?
MBA or MTech?
Yes.
Okay, so actually these are completely different fields, right? You will pursue MTech only if you think that, okay, I'm a particular domain engineer. Let's say I'll give my example. I'm a software engineer and I want to grow in that particular domain only, right? I'll go ahead with that. If I think that, okay, I don't want to pursue in software engineering, I want to get into, let's say, business development role, right? Where I'm more handling the business, how to grow a business, how to expand a business, right? Then I might go for MBA or MIM programs, right? So it's not hardbound that you either go for, like, it's not related, right? These are two completely different aspects. So you need to see which domain you are interested in, or let's say if you don't even know which domain you are interested in right now, right? So you need to give yourself time. That's why I said you need to explore. You need to do multiple things. Let's say so where did I develop my interest for MBA, right? So I was part of, as I said, that CCS and OWASP. I got opportunity to lead the societies, right? So from there, I learned that, okay, I have that tendency to lead. I have that skill and capability to lead, and I like leading. I like building strategy. Okay, we should do this. We should gather the audience for the it's a society event. So that was a very small scale example. Then I started my venture during the college time. I was very interested in that. I wanted to build, every day. Maybe Akshat also knows. So every second day I used to come into so I was living in J hostel. I used to come to everybody's room कि यार ये idea अच्छा लग रहा है मुझे, इस पे startup करते हैं, right? So something like that. So that was something that used to come to my mind every day. So that exploratory phase is really important. So if you're not clear about what to pursue right now, MTech or MBA or MIM, anything, right? Give yourself time. Maybe join in a corporate, join the industry, go for job, spend a couple of years there, right? And once you feel that, okay, I am good with tech and I want to stay in my particular domain. Let's say you're chemical engineer, mechanical engineer, whatever you are, and I want to stay in that particular domain. Go for MTech, go for MS abroad if you want to settle abroad or go abroad, right? So go for MS. Otherwise, if you feel that, okay, you want to move out of this current industry, MBA or MIM, these are really good options. So many people go for management programs because they want to switch industry. They are not liking their industry or they want to grow in another domain, right? That's when you go for MBA programs or business programs. Did that clear the doubt, Gaurang?
Yeah, so I would also like to know insights from Akshat as he has pursued masters. So, like, I would also like to know which is better, like masters from abroad or like doing masters in India from IIT or institute, like IIT.
Okay. So that's a slightly different question than what we were doing before. So now, let's say you were able to make the decision that, hey, right now in my career, I want to do masters. And the way I knew about that I wanted to do this was just by talking to a lot of my seniors who are doing jobs versus who are outside in US doing masters. I could see some people doing MTech in Thapar as well. So I interviewed them as well. I was at IIT Mandi for my internship. I interviewed every single one of those PhD students that I worked with. And that's when I got into this conclusion that, hey, I need to go to MS at US, and that makes the most sense for me. There are actually reasons beyond just the professional scope that I made this decision of coming to US. One of the major ones being my sister was already here. She was doing her PhD at the time, and that made it a little bit more comfortable for me to like do this kind of thing. I'd already seen US once as part of my conference. and I'd already know a lot about it through my sister. So it was an easier decision for me to make. However, for people, it can be like, if you're the first in your family to step out and do something like this, it can be a little daunting, because obviously there's a lot of costs involved, right? There's a lot of opportunity cost when you talk about doing masters. So what I would say is, if you do plan to do masters, but you're not really sure whether to do it in India or in US, talk to a lot of people and get their opinions about how was their experience, because masters in India is relatively, I would say, depending on your profile, maybe tougher to get into versus masters in US. Both of the applications require very different things out of you, and that's where I believe most of the difference is made. So maybe your profile is well suited for a master's in America or US with like scholarship, who knows, right? But you have to go and do your homework to discover that, and then push the boundary there. Um, so yeah, it's a very delicate topic, and there are obviously reasons beyond the professional realm that are in play here. But I'm happy to, you can come to my website. There's a Calendly link. You can come talk to me one-on-one about it anytime. But yeah, happy to provide more clarity there if need be. But for now, just talk to people. It will make abundant sense to you right away as you talk to people that this is what I want to do, right? So it'll be clear. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Great. Maybe let me cover the remaining 2-3 aspects from the business program side, right? Then maybe Akshat can speak more about the MS part again. So, yeah, so I was talking about the application aspects, right? So as I covered most of the application aspects, that it varies a lot and they see a holistic profile, right? So you need to work on everything. Then one thing that I would like to highlight here, that there are certain less favorable profiles. So what are they? When you are an IT engineer, male, right, and an Indian, right? So that's the most competitive profile and less favorable profile, because this profile, the people with this profile are all over the place and they are trying to get into the same school as yours, right? And you have so much competition. So you need to make yourself stand out. And how to make yourself stand out again? There can be multiple factors. Maybe you have done something extra apart from your current job. Maybe you have done some sort of venture. Maybe you have done some sort of great certification like CFA or something, right? Let's say maybe an example for going for business students, right? So CFA or something like that, right? So you can try out different things, and that will make you stand out in your profile. And finally, the interview aspect. So let's say you go through all this tedious application process and you get an invite for interview from a particular B school, right, that you want to get into, right? So interviews will come into picture, and interviews is something that will make or break the deal, right? So you need to make sure that when you are answering the questions asked by the interviewer, you are really clear about that why you are going to pursue that particular domain. You need to have a story build up, right, from your application to your interview too, right? That why you are doing that, what was your what is your existing profile, what is missing, and what you need to get there, right? So you need to show them that, okay, without MBA, I won't be able to get into, let's say, XYZ domain. That's why I need MBA. I hold software. So I'll give my example. So I have software engineering experience. I have experience of leading team in corporate as well as in my venture, right? And I am interested in exploring the business side of it. I want to contribute in business, and an MBA is something that can help me build my business skills, right? And that will help me get a particular job in product management domain or a strategy domain, right? So that's how you need to build your whole story. And this is just a one-line example. I mean, you need to write an essay about this. So yeah, so pretty much that's about it. And here I'd like to introduce so I and Akshat are involved in basically an initiative. So this is called Protonade, right? So in Protonade, we are helping the students by getting their journey easy, making their journey easy. So if you are an aspirant of MS or MBA or MIM, right? So you can reach out to us on our website. So it's www.protonade.com, right? And we are basically catering to all the aspects that I just mentioned. So maybe I'll touch upon the aspect that different programs that we have. So one is B School application program. So I see in comment section we have people who are asking about MSBA, and we have people who are asking about other courses, right, regarding business. So one thing is that you can approach us for this B School application program, where we will help you groom your essay applications. We will help you out in LORs and your recommendations, and how to show your profile across the table, right? So that's one thing. And maybe let me take an example here. So maybe Gaurang, let's say tomorrow you want to go for MBA, right? And let's say you are heading a particular society. So it's not just as easy as saying that, okay, I in your essay you can't just simply say, okay, I was leading a creative computing society from so and so year, and I organized so and so events, right? And so was the turnout. You can't just simply portray it like that. So if a school is looking for leadership, so every school is looking for something in particular. Somebody is looking for leadership, somebody is looking for your creative thinking, somebody is looking for your entrepreneurship, right? So every school has something else. So you need to be aware of that, right? So that's where we come into picture, because we have done this research. So we have a team where people from UCLA, Duke, and many business schools in Canada and Europe. We have people from ISB. So we know that, okay, what are the different aspects of the application and different kind of characteristic that these schools are looking for, right? So when coming back to your example again, so you can't simply write that I led this, right? So let's say we're talking about leadership here. So we need to portray it in a certain way. Leadership has various aspects. So maybe giving others a chance, or leading them by example. So there are characteristics of leadership. You need to show those characteristics of leadership in your application, right? That, okay, I collaborate, right? You collaborated with your CCS team to organize a certain event. So you need to show collaborative behavior, and that will implicitly show your leadership. So that's how we need to build your essays, right? So that's something we can help you out through this program. Another thing is B School interview preparation package. So let's say you make it through the first round, congratulations. So now you have interview scheduled, right? So how will you do that? So we have mock interviews with us, where people from different B schools can help you there, right? And thirdly, the profile grooming program. So what's the profile? Protonade scholars. So basically, let's say you didn't do anything, or you feel that I didn't do anything, I don't have any extracurricular in my profile. So what should I do? Can I not do MBA, or can I not go for business program, right? So how will you do that? So for this, basically we have there are certain opportunities that people usually are not aware about. People don't know that, okay, this something like this exists. There are always, even when you are in your job, you can do certain things. So I did basically a public policy fellowship while I was pursuing my software engineering job at JP Morgan. So that really added value to my profile, and really added a perspective to what I want to do, right? So it was a public policy fellowship where I was building a policy draft for government of Rajasthan regarding basically upliftment of women's self-help groups. So this is something that I did. But there are certain programs, certain opportunities, there are fellowships by Indian government, by certain universities, by certain institutes, so that you can pursue. There are certain certifications that really add value to your profile if you want to go. So those are something that we can help you out through this profile grooming program. So yeah, pretty much that's about these three pieces. Maybe Akshat, you can touch upon the MS program piece, as you have detailed knowledge about it.
Okay. Thanks, Abhinav, for the detailed. I guess if there are any questions, maybe we can take towards the end of this particular slide, and then even about MS or MBA, we can open it up to Q&A pretty soon. So I see a lot of great questions coming up in the YouTube comments. And that's always great to have. All right. So MS programs, right? What are the different programs available? And I think this also relates to the previous question that Abhinav answered, and I also answered a little bit about whether to do MTech or in India or versus do masters in US. And I sort of touched upon why and how to make that decision. But definitely, you know, again, as I said, talk to people, figure out what the differences are, how much time does it take. Um, every institute, what I've seen is they define their MTech program and their MS programs differently. Sometimes MS means that you need to publish a thesis towards the end of your program. It might take 2 or 3 years at max. MTech is a little bit more defined. It takes specifically, you will have a program duration, you will have fixed syllabus, or at least the electives will be very well defined. Whereas in MS program, these things are not as well defined. Um, but in US, you will see different kinds of MS programs. There are some MS programs which will be called MS as a professional degree, which will be kind of like how we define MTech in India, like a very, very, very defined degree with a fixed syllabus and very focused specialization. We used to have in CU Boulder, there was masters in data science specifically. So you will have courses specifically designed around that specialization. There was cybersecurity, and there were a bunch of other programs as well. Those were professional degree programs. But then you used to have masters as a traditional MS program, which used to have either independent study under a professor or you do a thesis. And I chose the independent study part because I was not at the point too sure about my thesis. But anyway, those are the different programs that are available. You can sort of look at what your interests are, what professors you found, and do you find that thing interesting or not. The algorithm that I would like to suggest here to figure out what you want to do, be it MBA, MTech, and this also sort of relates to the previous question. It didn't occur to me at the time, but I think I would like to add that here, is that think about a vision of yourself 5 years from now. Who is that? Let's say Abhinav or Gaurang wants to think about the next steps, even in the next semester. How do you plan that, right? So think about what is the Gaurang's version of, let's say, from today, 2021 to 2026, right? And what is he doing at that point in time? What are the kinds of things he's investing his time in, and where in the industry is he situated? Is he situated more on the product design and product architecture point of view? Is he there from the business side, that a person who is taking the requirements from the customer and translating that to an engineering team? Or is he part of the engineering team, managing an engineering team, or even part of the engineering team, building it out, solving bugs, merging feature requests? What does that Gaurang look like? And what are the skills required to reach that place? The way you do that is to figure out what are some of the profiles, what are some of your idols that you are motivated by or inspired by. You look at their LinkedIn profiles and you sort of start dating back in time from their profiles. You'll start looking at, okay, these are the people that I want to be when I'm 5 years from now. Where did they go to school? All right, did they do MS or MTech or whatever what did they do? And then how did they reach there? What kind of projects did they have when they were reaching at those places? Now, when you figure that out, you will sequentially figure out, hey, like what are the potential schools that I might apply to for MBA, for MTech, or for MS? Where am I going to go, right? And that's how you sort of backtrack your decision from the person you want to be 5 years from now and the person you are today, right? And obviously there will be some more competition for you than it was for the last person who went there through that route. And at least that's how I did it. I looked at a research engineer profiles and data scientist profiles when I was in Thapar, and then I figured out, hey, CU Boulder can be one of those places where if I go, I will talk to these 5 professors. One of them has to agree to work with me, and the first one did agree to work with me, and that's how at least my story was. So that's a great algorithm, I would say everyone should follow. And then when should you pursue masters? Now, whenever you whenever you realize you want to do it, really, as I said, right, different kind of programs have different kind of pros and cons. I have seen people who have spent like 3 to 4 years in India, working in India, and now they want to access US job market. So in order to make that transition, they would choose to do MS at that point. I have seen people like me who were hell-bent on, hey, I want to do PhD, but no one is going to give me a PhD right away. So I have to do a master's and talk to professors and figure out where can I do my PhD and then enroll for the PhD program, right? So those kind of folks usually you go for MS right away. So that's where you can decide when should you pursue. It's basically anytime you realize that there are more pros than cons to pursuing MS, and then that's when you go for it. And again, always have this vision of yourself in mind that, hey, am I going to be after MS, or whatever the next step is that I'm going to take, right? And just backtrack from that. So that'll help you decide when do you want to do what, right? Um, and another note, right? If you really want to do a PhD eventually, you should go for MS, or even you should go directly apply for PhD if you get one. But if you're like, no, I have to get an industry job after master's right away, then one note to keep in mind is if you have some experience in India, that will always help you get better calls in US, at least in US. When you are like right off the bat, you graduated from your master's, you will be the first one to get the call if you have some kind of work experience in India, right? So that is also one point to keep in mind, that when you come here, you will be then directly going to SD2. Let's say you were a SD1 in India for like 2 years or something. So that's a really good advantage that I've seen my peers have when they were in CU Boulder, and when they got interview calls and I was not getting any interview calls through the initial phase of interviewing. And that was one of the biggest differences. All right, where should you pursue? This will depend on the profile that you create for yourself. What is your GRE score? What is your CGPA? What is your statement of purpose looking like? What are your letter of recommendations? Where should you pursue will be essentially a function of with those parameters. And essentially the main goal here is to, whenever you're building your profile, you decide, okay, which are the ambitious schools, which are the moderate schools, and which are the safe schools. You typically will need guidance in deciding those, because every year there are so many metrics, and every year like universities keep on changing their admission criteria all the time. So you have to keep track of that. You will need guidance on what is the minimum GRE score required for your application to be considered for a particular school, right? Like, for example, it's a very well-known fact that in University of California system, which is like UC Berkeley or even UCLA, a lot of the times your CGPA matters a lot. Like someone with a 9.0 or plus CGPA out of 10 will for sure get a call from there. Almost, at least be considered. Below that, your profile may not even be read. So there are those kind of things that you should keep in mind while applying, because again, the opportunity cost for MS is huge. Yeah, every application will cost at least like $60 to $80. And as an undergrad, that's like a high cost to pay per application. You will end up applying to like 13 schools or so. And that's like a lot of dollars right off the bat. So why go through that? And why not do it in a more structured way and in somebody's guidance, right? That's what you need. Okay, so we talked a little bit about what are the different parameters of the application. There is, statement of purpose, there is letter of recommendation, there is your GRE score, CGPA, and depending on what you really want to get out of that experience, like let's say you apply for a professional master's degree, you will be in a MS in data science. The requirements for that kind of program will involve, hey, is the incoming grad student, the application committee will think, hey, is the incoming grad student, does he or she or they have research experience or not, for something like a traditional MS program, which will have thesis in it. But for the professional MS programs, they will look at, hey, does this person have some kind of industry experience or not, right? What are the letter of recommendations saying about him or her? So those are the kind of things that will matter here, and that kind of gets dicey over time, because you can have research background and still go for a professional degree. It's just about how creative you are at making your case to the application committee. And as Abhinav also said, right, there is a whole lot of stuff about how do you make that story, and that story matters a lot in the end. And that's also like an urgent part. And the reason why we started Protonade was also to provide this kind of guidance from recent graduates who have seen this process up close and in the recent years, and can provide that to you. Now, less favorable profiles, not going to touch too much about that, but how do you stand out? And certainly I would start with my own profile, right? I think my GRE score was something for at least CU Boulder to consider me. That was good. But at the same point of time, I had 3 publications by the time I graduated from Thapar. And I think that is something that is highly, highly unusual at that point of time during when my application pool was getting into it. So I had 3 research papers. That was one way of standing out as a student applying for a traditional MS programs. But when I entered CU Boulder, I could see everyone around me was like at least 2 or 3 years elder to me. And they all had some kind of work experience in India. And through that, you can make the conclusion that if you have work experience in India, your profile is automatically more favorable. But those were all professional MS students. They were very rare students who would go for traditional MS anyway. So if you want to go for traditional MS, the way to stand out is to have good research experience and presentation experience also, because as a traditional MS student, you're also supposed to be a teaching assistant sometimes or a research assistant sometimes, and that requires good communication skills. The way to prove that is by saying that you have given presentations and you've done some kind of extracurricular work that requires a lot of communication and a lot of event organizing, or even just a lot of public speaking, right? And once you say that, it just shows that you're a very good prospective student that can add value to your application, and so on. And yeah, there are those things. And then there is SOP. That's where you say your story. And I guess I can tell the story behind my SOP. So for me, I still stand by it. I would any day work on that project, and I'm still working on that project. But let me just say, it's about perspectives. So I'm into photography. This virtual background you see, I shot it. Like that's a real thing that I shot, and I'm very proud of this shot. But anyway, so I'm into photography. Now, if you look at like different things, let's say, these AirPods, I'm not sure if you're able to look at it or not, but yep, you can't look at it. Great, awesome. My virtual background is actually cutting it out. So anyway, let's say you want to shoot any particular object, right? You have the object in mind, and you're trying to shoot it. There are so many different angles through which you can shoot a photograph, like through which you can shoot any particular object. Let's say you're trying to shoot a bird. There are so many different angles that you can approach that issue, that problem, right? Now, how do you select automatically what is that one angle through which it will be like a beautiful story that I can tell with that photo, right? There are millions of points, millions of angles that you can shoot, millions of camera configurations that you can choose from. But how do you choose the most outstanding camera position and camera configuration to shoot an absolutely amazing photo and tell a good story through that photo? So my ask was in my SOP that, hey, I want to solve this problem, and I want to do that by combining my passion for photography and cognitive science and computer science. And that is the story that I shared with the admission committee. And I think that was also one of the factors that stood out in my application. So I guess you can move forward to the next slide.
Akshit, can you answer one question? I see that in comments there is, can you elaborate on the financial aspects of MS in US? So how much is the usual fees there?
Yeah, the things keep on changing, at least in my time. I took a loan for about, I believe, 30 or 40 lakhs INR. But I ended up using only 8 lakhs out of it because the rest of it was covered by my teaching assistantship. As soon as I got into CU Boulder, I got to interview for TA position. And one of the perks of the TA position was they waive all of the tuition fees, as well as they give you enough money to save and to pay your living expenses. So you have to really work on your like expenses. How much do you spend? How much do you need to live a good life as a grad student? And once you estimate that, it's actually fairly easy to even get part-time jobs, but the part-time jobs won't cover your tuition. So you would want to try, and one of the benefits of applying to traditional MS programs is that it makes you eligible for teaching assistantships. And that, in the end, even though like I worked 7 days a week for, I don't know, 80 hours a week, but in the end, it got me to a point where I was able to communicate well with the students, and that helped me get a good handle of what the culture is like. I did not go through the cultural shock as much of my peers did at the point of time. And in the end, it's always a positive thing to invest time in those kind of things. But yeah, I would say if you are going for MS programs, there are definitely things you can do to get into positions like TA positions, and we can talk about how to crack those positions as well. But that's the financial aspect. You prepare as you enter US that you will be spending all the money, and then try to spend as less money as possible, right? And TA is one of the best ways to do that. RA is another one, which is research assistantship, but that requires a different angle of approach towards professors. I did not have it, but I see a lot of students coming after me do have that advantage, and that's pretty good. Yeah.
Gaurang, you had a question, I guess.
Yeah, so I would like to ask that what is the difference MSBA program, as it is a STEM program and doesn't require much more experience, like 0 to 2 years? There's a question in the comment section by Arya.
So MSBA, I guess, if I'm not wrong, it's MS in Business Analytics, right? So again, it comes under mostly under the management or business side of the things, right? And the kind of a business oriented role. So what's the question? Like, is there a difference between MS and MSBA? Is it? Okay, you can talk about MSBA. All right. So, so personally, I am not really sure about the in-depth of MSBA. So it will be basically, again, it will be Masters in Business Analytics, and the roles profile again, considering data scientist and again, data-oriented jobs will be there, but involving more of the business side of the things. So that's something maybe you can explore in detail about that particular program from the website itself. But yeah, again, it will come down to again less than 2 years of experience, and again similar kind of admission process. Anything? I don't see any other question, I guess. Yeah, one more is there, I guess. How to design a profile in a way that you can get into good business school with scholarship. Again, so Surbhi, I already touched upon this, that you need to work on your extracurriculars, right? And you need to show what extra did you do apart from your regular studying or apart from your regular day job that you might pursue after this, right? So as I highlighted the program earlier, maybe you can reach out to us regarding that, and we can talk about it later. So you can reach out on our website for that. And Akshat, maybe you can talk about the MS application program.
Yeah, I was just about to wrap that up as well, but I guess that was a good segue there. I think, so just to conclude upon my previous slide as well, I pointed out a bunch of stages in the MS application program where you will require all the guidance that you can get from recent graduate, and the emphasis is on recent graduates, right? And just to touch upon this, I think maybe Abhinav missed this or not, but we are not the only ones in Protonade. We have a network of friends supporting us, and though all of them have been through these stages or are actually going through these stages right now. And that's the experience that is really going to be helpful for people who are thinking about applying in maybe 1 year or 2 years or even 3 years from now. And that's the value addition that we can have in your stages as of right now. So that's where I guess we have this MS applications program as well, which is kind of like the B School applications program, except this will be for MS, and we'll focus specifically on, all the questions, all or any of the questions that I answered earlier for myself. If you have such questions, like feel free to come to us and we will help you out with that. I think statement of purpose is the most important part this to start with. And then you have, LORs, GRE score, CGPA, and we can talk about how to optimize all of that and make a good story for you to give to the admission committee and go forward with it. And bear in mind, when I talk about story and when I talk about statement of purpose, it's not about something that you frame up. It's more about refining what you already have within you, the ideas that you already have within you. They need to be just polished in the right way and presented in the right way to the admission committee. And that's when magic happens, right? So there is nothing new that we're going to give. We're not going to give you some secret recipe. It's more about what ideas you already have and how to create a story out of those ideas. But it's again, the raw material you already have in your head. So it just needs to be prepared and it just needs to be presented in the right manner. So yeah, I guess maybe Abhinav, back to you.
Yeah. So guys, you can also reach out to us for free profile evaluation, but please keep in mind that it will only be for MSMB school aspirants and not particularly for, Indian B schools. So let's say if you are aspiring for going into IIMs through CAT route, so that's not we are currently covering. And if you, in case you are applying for or considering like MSBA or MIM and MS programs for if like MS in CS or electrical or whatever you are, wherever domain you are from. So then you can reach out to us for profile evaluation. And one thing that I would like to guide you guys on, that mostly people think that, okay, like MIM is not really heard of program, right? But MIM is a really good chance to get into, business side of the functions and switch your profile from a core tech profile. Let's say you don't like, you have been into engineering because of parental pressure, or maybe because you didn't know about it, you got into non-medical and engineering mil gayi and ho gaya, right? But now you have some idea, okay, I don't want to continue into this particular domain and I want to switch it. So MIM is a really good option for you guys, and you can just build on your choose a particular domain, let's say marketing or maybe sales or maybe operations, finance, anything, right? And you can move ahead into that particular type of role, and it will not require much effort as it will require for your MBA applications too. There won't be that much competition as it will be for MBA. So you need to keep in mind that you need to carve your own path according to your profile. That if you feel that your profile is little bit on a lower side as compared to your peer, right, then you need to take a different path so that you can reach the same place but through a different path, right? So through MBA also you'll reach the same path, and via MIM also you can reach the same path, right? Both will get into the business, sort of business roles, both will get into, let's say, consultancy. It's just that you are getting right now and maybe at a level junior, and maybe a person who's going after 5 years will directly get into a level senior, right? Obviously the curriculum also differs, but yeah, this is a good program in case you want to consider it right after your graduation. There are many schools who offer these programs, and there are many European schools, and this course is just for 1 year, so it also saves your opportunity cost, because mostly mass MBA programs and master programs are of 2 years, right? And MIM programs are usually of 1 year. So that's another thing you can keep in mind. And
so,
yeah,
Abhinav, we have this other question in the chat. So if we want to pursue MSMBA dual degree programs, then do we need to attempt both GRE and GMAT?
no, not necessarily. So GRE is right now accepted worldwide for even for the B school applications, whereas GMAT is just for B school applications. So in case you are considering MSMBA dual degree, so you can go ahead and give GRE and go ahead with that. But I will point out a little problem there, that when you are applying for MSMBA dual degree, so you are applying to two different schools basically within, let's say, York University. I'm going to York University. So there's Schulich School of Business and there is Lassonde School of Engineering. So you'll have to apply separately to both the schools. If both the schools accept you, then only you'll be able to pursue a dual degree. Otherwise, you won't be able to pursue a dual degree. So that's really challenging also. So just keep that in mind, whosoever asks. Anything else that might have popped up in the comments?
No, I guess
Okay, okay. So let's go on to resume building. So yeah, so CCS specifically asked me that maybe we can include one section on this and cover specific points, because there will be many people who will be applying for internships and will be sitting for jobs. I'm not sure whether you guys will be compulsorily given out a particular format to present your resume with. If that's the case, go ahead with that. But in case you are looking at it from a long-term perspective and you are applying off campus, just stick to like these 4 or 5 pointers that I'm going to give you. So one thing is that you should go ahead with one page resume. Don't go beyond that. You don't have anything, in fact, beyond that. You just need to cover certain sections that in your resume, and that's it. So first thing being your education, right? You need to cover your education. Second, your projects, right? Third, your maybe skills, or in case you want to mention specific skills, okay, you are skilled in these, you can have a skills section, right? Once you are into job, you will need to have a work ex section, your experience basically, right? And apart from that, you can add a leadership and achievement section if you believe that you have something to add to that section, right? So these are the 4 or 5 sections that are major highlight of your resume. And you please don't use any fancy template available in PowerPoint or online on different websites. Stick to a black and white template, and just your heading, your point, heading, your points, heading, your points, simply like that, right? And please include your whatever description you are giving for your each of your project or your education section. Please do in bullet points. Don't write a snippet below that. Use bullet points to list all of them, right? That's another point. And you should be using action verbs. So basically, what does action verb mean? So let's say I'm currently working in JP Morgan Chase. So my resume will be having a section of JP Morgan Chase, where I'll be, let's say, writing down, okay, leading a team of 3. So their leading is the action verb, right? Leading a team of 3, uh, let's say conducting seminars for engineers to educate on cloud computing, right? So these are the kind of things that you should keep in mind, that you should use action verbs. Then another thing, you should quantify whatever you're doing. You should quantify and try to show the impact. So let's say, for let's say Thapar, you build a project, right, for your own society, for your own, let's say, department, right? So you have built something that has eased the process, and that has, let's say it used to take 3 or 4 days to execute certain task earlier. Now it takes only half a day, right? So you need to emphasize on that impact from 4 days to half a day. So how much reduction is that, right? You have reduced time, like more 1/8 of the time. You have reduced it to 1/8 of the time it used to take earlier, right? You need to emphasize these particular numbers in your resume. So this brings impact. And apart from that, if you guys have any project link, you have, application or something, research paper or anything published, right? You have, in case of CS students, let's say you have some website or web app, right, or some Android app, you should include project link too, and make sure that is a hyperlink, not just a simple link, right? You are just not included the simple link, so make sure you have that. And yeah, whenever you share your resume with somebody, please ensure it's a PDF, never a Word document. So I have seen this mistake multiple times while I was, getting resume for referrals or something. So people tend to send their resume in a Word document format. That's a big no. And secondly, more than 2 pages, big no, right? Rest of the things, we can accommodate, but these 2 things are really a big no. So yeah, pretty much about resume building. And I mean, in case you need help, detailed help on this, Again, you can reach out on our website for particular sections like resume review. We have people from all sort of domains, right? We can review your resumes for that and help you, refine your resume. So that's one thing. And another thing is that I would like to emphasize, you are early on in your career and you should use LinkedIn profile for your branding, and for, you should build your brand around it. You can explore as much as you want sitting at your home and connect with as many people from as many domains, right? You should do that, and you should build your audience and you should build your network. So how to do that? What are the strategies to do that? And let me touch on how it will impact you. So I got my campus offer for GE, right? And after that, when I wanted to switch to JP Morgan, somebody from my team approached me on LinkedIn. So I got my first job from LinkedIn, right? Then recently, a few months back, when I was applying for various companies, right? So again, people reached out to me on LinkedIn, and I got multiple offers from there. And I reached out to the Amazon UK offer that I had, right? I reached out to recruiter on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a great tool. Please make use of that, and make sure your profile is up to date, and you are making your brand. So there are certain strategies that you need to follow to build your brand and develop your profile. So in case you need help on that, again, reach out to us. We'll be there for you. All right. And yeah, apart from that, in general, I guess this is something many people require career guidance sessions, as you asked many questions, right, regarding MSBA or MS versus MTech, MS in India versus MS outside, right? So these are general career guidance questions that people have, and if a person who has gone through this cycle will be able to help you better. So in case you feel that you need to have some sort of guidance, you can reach out to us. And mentorship is something that is highly underrated. Now I can say that because I know people who are 10 years elder to me in the same domain, let's say software engineering, and I know people who are 10 years elder to me in entrepreneurship and product management, whom I'm looking forward to and whom I can get guidance from, right? So guidance is really important because you don't have the exposure of that, and that person who is a mentor has got 10 years more experience in that particular domain, has seen various things, and has experimented with certain things, right? And they can guide you with what you need to do and what mistakes they did and what you can avoid. Obviously you can reach out to your immediate seniors, but your immediate seniors will be able to guide you on only that 1 year experience that they have extra from you, right? They won't be able to provide any guidance in terms of your long term career path, that okay, 10 years down the line, if you want to get there, you should do it right now, because your immediate senior also does not know that. Only a 10-year or 5-year senior to you will get to teach you that. So yeah, that's another thing. And I pretty much we sum it up, and this is our website address and the email if you want to reach out to us, right? And we can open to Q&A, any left, or if you have anything in the comment section.
So I think there are no more questions in the chat.
Yes, we covered most of them. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I guess we can take a leave.
All right.
Thank you, Abhinav Bhaiya. Thank you, Akshat, for
Thank you so much
joining
for
us today.
joining. It was really informative.
Thank you, guys. I hope other people also feel the same.
Yeah, thank you so much for organizing this. This
Yes.
was a pleasure coming back to Thapar and talking about all of this. Cool.
Thank you.